Welcome to the Equip Podcast. Here you'll find conversations from people of all different walks of life, sharing their experiences, the things the Lord has taught them, and things to equip you. Equip is based on Ephesians 4:11-13 that talks about equipping God's people for works of service so that the body of Christ may be built up. That is our goal here, to build you up and equip you through seasons of ups and downs in life. Welcome back to the Equip Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Gibson, and today I'm joined by Heather Tennison. Heather and I have gotten to know each other through a group that we have that meets every Wednesday nights to discuss the Bible recap. We've been reading through the Bible together all year, and through our discussion, I've been so encouraged by Heather's story and how the Lord has been so present in her life. So I asked her to be on the podcast here and share some of that with you today. So welcome, Heather.
Hey, thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Well, to begin our conversation, will you share a little bit about your childhood?
Sure. So I was adopted when I was about 8 months old, and I had a really good childhood. My dad was in the Navy, and his time at home was spent with me, like by his side. We were totally inseparable. He took me racquetball, boating, all the things.
I love that.
So then when I was about 4, my world kind of turned upside down. My mom left my dad, and he had just received orders to be stationed in Hawaii. So my mom and I moved to Arkansas to live with the father of my soon-to-be little brother.
Okay.
But he left before my little brother was even born.
Gosh,
so then it was
fast.
just us. So
Did y'all have anybody in Arkansas with you?
no. And my mother came from Ireland to marry my father, so we had no family here
Like
at all.
literally nobody.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then after my brother was born, my mom started going to church, and that's where I started to learn about God and Jesus. And she read the Bible to us every night. I remember, I still have the Bible.
Oh,
And yeah. And so she read the Bible to us every night. And even though it was like new and unfamiliar, those moments planted deep seeds. Like I know they planted the deep values and core beliefs that I have today. And but that season, it was short-lived. And eventually we stopped going to church. So that little season was over.
it's hard.
But then things kind of got wobbly again. When I was about 8, my mom started dating the man who would become my stepfather. And that relationship triggered some things in me that I wasn't ready for and didn't know how to deal with. And I started acting out. And that sort of behavior continued up until I was 15.
Wow.
When I left home for the last time.
So what happened in your teenage years then?
So when I was 11, and they got married, that's when I started to run away from home. And I ran away several times, and they would like put me in juvenile shelters or a foster home or wherever to try to, get me back on track. And then in the midst of all that, when I was 11, they did send me to church camp. And that's where I asked the Lord to come into my heart, and I truly believed that was it. I was going to be good. And but when I came back from church camp, we didn't go to church. So I didn't have any leadership or I didn't have like a youth pastor or
There's no
Sunday
follow-up.
school. Yeah, there was no follow-up. So I didn't know what to do with it. And me thinking it was a magic bullet, like, well, I asked Jesus to come to my heart. Now everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that. I would pray like every night, okay, Jesus, I'm going to be good tomorrow. But I had so much, turmoil within me with the, the anger of my parents' divorce and then the anger of this new life that we had that I wasn't,
You didn't want?
No. And so,
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Can you scoot a little bit closer to the microphone?
Yeah.
Because it's dropping off your voice.
okay.
Is that better?
You want me to bend it down? Is that better?
If you can just speak a little bit closer to the microphone.
Okay.
Here, do we need it? Here, we can skip it too.
Ooh.
Good?
Is that good?
Yes. Do we need to
Well, I'm going to look down.
Right. That part was fine. It was just because you were so far away.
Looking down.
It was dropping off.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
You're good. Where do we stop? There's a lot of turmoil inside you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just start with
Church camp.
yes. Yeah. So you came back from church camp. You didn't know what to do. There was no follow-up. You didn't know what to do with
Right.
all of these emotions inside of you. So what happened next?
So I really think that moment marked the beginning of God's call on my life, because even though I didn't have any follow-up and I didn't know what to do with it, I knew that I believed what I had been taught at church camp and what my mom had once read to me in the Bible, and I knew that was true. But life didn't suddenly become easier.
Yeah.
My stepfather's presence continued to stir up, the pain and anger. And since we didn't go to church, I was lost.
Yeah.
But now, just as we're reading about how God kept his covenant with the Israelites, I can see how God was faithful, gently calling me even when I was too hurt or angry to hear his voice. Like, he was always there.
I've loved hearing every week in discussion. And if anybody listening has read the Old Testament, a lot of the Israelite story is like a yo-yo. It's back and forth.
Yes.
It's they follow the Lord and then they don't. And they follow the Lord and then they don't. And I love how every week you shared like a relatability with that. Of your life, you've said, has kind of felt like that, of kind of a yo-yo relationship, and the Lord just keeps calling you back to him. And I just think it's been really encouraging.
Yes. And he sent people in my life throughout, because when I was a teenager, I was looking for, I was desperately missing that father's love. Even though I had a stepfather, I was still, I was daddy's girl. And he not only had moved to Hawaii, but at the time he had moved to Japan when I had gotten older. So I didn't know where to find anything. And that anger and that emotional turbulence, guided a lot of my choices. And I was trying to fill the void in all the wrong ways. So by 16, I was pregnant. And my mom and stepdad signed the papers for me to marry the baby's father. But it turns out that he was just as broken as I was. And the relationship turned abusive. And so when I was 5 months pregnant, I left him and was determined to make something better for me and my unborn child.
Where did you go?
I connected with a faith-based organization. So I went to the phone book and just started looking. And I found a pregnancy crisis center. And it just so happened that the lady that was working there, she was a Christian. She was involved heavily with the ministry of pregnant mothers. And so we got me into the program, and then I was sent to live with foster homes so I would be safe until the baby was born.
So you're 16 at the time.
Yes.
So you're still a child yourself. Yes. And so that's why I guess they sent you to the foster homes. Wow.
Yes.
So then you made the decision to give your son for adoption after that. How did you come to that decision?
That was very hard, especially being a child of adoption. He was mine, like my first blood relative, my first, I belonged to him. He belonged to me, like truly. And so it was very difficult. But I connected with them and I read the Bible. I read the Bible the whole time while I was in the foster care with the families that were there. They were Christian. They went to church, but I didn't have to go to church. And I felt like I didn't belong in church at the time. So I stayed home, but I did read my Bible. And I didn't understand what I was reading. I didn't fully comprehend like I do today, anything, but I was at peace. And it was like all the pieces were falling in place. And the most beautiful thing about it is I was able to read letters. And I read letters, and
From
I
who?
chose from the adoptive parents. So potential parents.
So they got to write you letters of like why they would be a good fit.
Yes.
Okay.
Or not exactly to me, but just in general.
Yeah.
There was letters of adoptive parents that were just hoping that they would be chosen. We're just hoping that, they would be given a child. And so I was able to read letters, and I poured over the letters, and I prayed, and I continued to read my Bible. And there was a peace. There was a sense of everything's supposed to be this way. And I know now that was God. That was God holding me through one of the most painful things that I had ever been through. And so I chose his parents, and I was
How did you choose them?
I just read letters. I read the letters, and There was one couple that had been together since they were 17 years old. They were around 30. They had, jobs that would always be needed. He was a computer data specialist, and she worked in the hospital. And they had been trying for a long time. And they just called to me. They were the ones that
felt stable.
Yes. They felt like, oh, these are the ones. Because I would go back to that letter. I would go back to, and it was not just from the mom or from them like together. There was like a letter from the mom saying all this stuff, and then a letter from the potential dad saying all this stuff. Wow. So yeah, and I know that God was guiding that, because whenever I met them, their nursery was exactly what I had wanted, like what I had envisioned.
Oh.
And even their naming of him, his middle name was a family name from my family.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was meant to be.
Little God winks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was the first person in the program to hand him over to them. Like I physically
hand the baby.
handed him, because there's 14 days within, after you sign the papers, and then the child is surrendered. And I find it funny that it's called surrender, because like I was surrendering myself to the Lord and his will and what could happen with this child. And it's called a surrender. And then there's 14 days before that's over. So you have 14 days to change your mind.
Wow.
And I did not want his parents, because that's who they had become in my mind and in my heart, to worry that I was going to change my mind. So we didn't even tell them until after the 14 days had passed. Wow. And then we called, my caseworker had me on a phone, and we called them, and his mother said, it's a boy. And the father in the back room said, who had a boy? And she said, we did. Oh. So it was beautiful. And then a few days later, I physically handed him to his father. Wow. So yeah.
What was that like for you?
It was painful, but beautiful. Mm-hmm. It was kind of surreal, but there was, and I attribute this to God. The whole thing, attribute to God and my want for everything to be okay, and like my searching in the Bible. And even though I didn't know what I was doing, God's hand was on it, because there was a peace. It was like I was handing their child to them. Like I had, through God's mercy and through God's grace and through all of it, I had come to a different realization that this was their child. Wow. So it was nice. It was beautiful, and it was scary. And
you had the opportunity to reconnect with him years later, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes. So in 2013, I submitted my DNA to Ancestry, and in the hopes, because I'm an adopted child, I always wondered about my parents. And so I kind of hoped he did too, and so I submitted my stuff, and I found my parents shortly after, but they had both deceased. And then this was 2013. In 2021, April 2021, I had a blip, because you always get these matches, and it's like a fifth cousin or
random things.
And so I had this blip, and it was like, oh my gosh, that's him. I didn't know it. I was like, oh my, that's my son. That's him.
Oh my gosh.
This Charlie is my son. So I just sat there, and I was scared to death. What do I do? What do I do? Do I wait and see if he reaches out to me? Do I write him right now? What do I do? So I sat there, and I stared at the computer screen, and then I thought, just do it. You've been looking for him for so long. You've been wondering about him for so long. So just do it. So I sent a message and said, hi, I'm your birth mother. And it was my hope that I would find you on here and contact me anytime. And then I just left it alone. And then I, freaked out a little.
Yeah.
What if he doesn't want a relationship with me? What if he's mad at me? What if his childhood wasn't good? What if?
Mm-hmm.
And so, within an hour, he responded.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And y'all have talked and connected
Yes.
since then, right?
So after that, we exchanged contact information, and then we got on the phone. And the first time we talked on the phone, we talked probably 3 hours. I mean, just nonstop, all about his life. And he's had a beautiful life. He was raised in a Christian home. He went to a Christian school from kindergarten to 12th grade. He has a son. Well, the son wasn't born at the time, but now he has a son, and his son is going to go to that same school.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he has a wonderful career. He has a wonderful family. It was God's answer in abundance. It was more than I could have ever asked for.
Gosh, that's so good. Well, you've kind of touched on this throughout, but how has the Lord been present throughout your story?
Oh, well, when has he not?
Yeah.
That's more of the question. So even when I couldn't see it, he was there. Looking back, I see that it was his hand guiding me through every hard moment. There were people that were put into my life that gave me strength. There were people put in my life that would always ask me to go to church. There were always what I needed at that time. There was always somebody. So sometimes I would go to church, and always when I went, I was in tears. I knew that they were talking to me. I knew the pull, the Holy Spirit was all over me. And I would hear his call, but the enemy had a hold on me. He used my fears and my weaknesses and used that to, what I like to say, because it was almost 40 years, was my 40 years in the wilderness. But all throughout that, there was these shots, this pocket here or this pocket there, and that's, again, the yo-yo. So, but God has been patient. He's been calling me back even when I was too fearful. And his faithfulness has been my anchor, and his forgiveness, has been the wellspring of my healing.
That's so good. Well, what does your faith look like now?
My faith today is growing. I like to say that I've been pruned, and I'm no longer sitting on the fence full of fear or, the yo-yo. A few years ago, I began attending the summer women's Bible studies here at Green Acres. And occasionally I would come to church. And over a year ago, I went to a Bible study that just clicked. It was I'm done. I'm finished. I'm ready. No more yo-yo. No more, maybe I'll tiptoe here or tiptoe there. Something changed. Something just was you're ready.
Yeah.
Jump in. And so, I decided to jump in with both feet, and I joined the church, and I was baptized, and I haven't looked back.
I love that. Heather, thank you so much for sharing your story and some truly vulnerable moments that you have been here or been through for our listeners. I know it's encouraged me hearing your story, and I hope it has for our listeners as well. As you know, we've got 2 questions we ask every guest at the end of each podcast. What is something you're learning, and what is something you're loving?
So something I'm learning is that it's more about not having all the answers and not being perfect, and about trusting in God's presence and his sovereignty every day. I'm learning that faith isn't about never doubting. It's about choosing to believe God is who he says he is, even when I'm uncertain, even when I don't know his plan. I'm learning that I need to just rest in his grace and to trust that he's working even when I don't understand, and that healing isn't a straight line.
Yeah.
And setbacks and doubts don't mean I failed. They mean I'm human, and that God's grace is bigger than my brokenness. And I'm learning how to be gentle and say it's okay.
Yeah.
And then something that I'm loving is the community in our Wednesday night Bible recap group.
Oh, it's the best.
So I'm really enjoying that and walking through scripture with other women and then sharing the honesty that we have in there. There's been a lot of honest moments, and that's precious to me. And I'm also loving the Christian community that I'm becoming part of here at Green Acres through the Sunday school classes and Bible studies and church events. I'm a new person in Him, and I love being surrounded and embraced by others that believe as I do. And I want to continue to grow in the church and with my new church family.
That's so good. And I mean, that's a perfect advertisement. If you don't have a church, come on.
Right?
We'll take you. Well, Heather, thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Equip podcast. Be sure to subscribe to be the first to know when a new episode drops. And follow us on social media to stay connected. We're at GABC_women. See you next time.